working with the subconscious mind, which is literally a blind spot area for a lot of people, will enable you to change a lot of your behavior patterns, change a lot of the wiring, and create new wiring or newer pathways in your way that's supportive of you right now, supportive of your belief system, supportive of you to move forward. So
I love what you said just now, by the way, about the subconscious mind, like running the show. It's just like really impactful. It's a steam engine, basically.
It is a steam engine. And so there is a very interesting interaction between the conscious and the subconscious. So the subconscious has all of these things, these wires, these beliefs, these things that like running the show, and that needs to be dealt with. But the also conscious mind has the work to do. You know, if the conscious mind does not give proper goals to the subconscious mind, we're not. If it doesn't dream big, if it doesn't have a destination, the subconscious mind is all over the place. So they both play a role, like how to have clear direction to the subconscious mind, and then make sure that the subconscious mind actually supports you and work with you, not against you. So it's an interesting dynamics.
Yeah, interesting. And combining with the fight or flight concept, I think naturally our subconscious mind focuses more on the negative aspects, just to be more secure and safe, feel safe. So that is also something that when people start to think of negative thoughts in their subconscious mind, they're actually triggering all of those stress factors and all of the doubts and things that go along with it, right? So my related question to this would be, how do you uncover that fear in people and make them realize that there is positivity behind this thought?
So the subconscious mind is interesting. It actually is designed to make you survive. It's designed to, to basically make you survive. So what it does, it protects you. So let's say when you were a child and you were, you by mistake you touched fire and you felt that burn on your hand, your subconscious mind like, uh-oh, that's not going to happen again. And it creates that fear factor so that you don't do it again. So the thing is, that could be supportive in some ways, right? But it's not supportive when, let's say, you know, you try to let's say, let's say you're on a bicycle and you fell over, and then your mind is like, oh, this is dangerous. That's not supporting you. It's trying to protect you, but it's not supporting you if you want to continue to be kind of like more liberal in your movement, and you'll be able to kind of carry yourself in the world. So that's just a small example. There's so many aspects, like how things, is registered in our mind. So it's either registered in subconscious mind, it's either registered as a positive or a negative based on a feeling, on a thing that you've experienced in the past, or has been cascaded down to you from families or from a family or some kind of pattern. So the subconscious mind is, it's going to show you, like, if you're having a negative pattern in your life, like something that, okay, your relationship with your boss always sucks, or, you're always broke, or you're always like, you make money, but you never retain money, or you're always feeling anxious about something, or you're always afraid to do things, or you're a perfectionist, or you're all of the anything that doesn't really support you to move forward in the right and not in the best and most beneficial way to you, then there's something to look into. And especially if it's a pattern. If you always get angry, if you're always frustrated, if you're always feeling like nobody's treating you the way you should be treated, there's patterns we keep getting into and keep getting into and keep getting into. So whenever there is a pattern, there's something in the subconscious mind that was potentially kind of registered long time ago, potentially in our childhood before the age of 8. We keep repeating these patterns because that's what the mind knows. That's what it creates, because it's there. It's the program that is there. So you need to deal with the program in order for you to have different experiences, different interpretations for the things, different behaviors, different results. How do you know that? It's just being mindful of your patterns and deciding you want to do something about it, and not just fall a victim of your patterns. Because guess what? You can change. You can change, but you have to raise your hand and say, I want to change, and make that step. Nobody can make the step for you.
I really like that fight or flight or hide. I've never heard the hide part. This is something I'm going to start using, by the way. Thank you, Lara,
Gabe does that, by the way. He takes all the good ideas.
I do. I do. And I like the subconscious. From working with a lot of people, you know, in the last 10 years, working with a lot of founders, working with a lot of CEOs, I feel the biggest barrier are the people themselves. Like, you know, they place barriers, you know, we kept talking about this growth mentality, and a lot of people, I think, limit their growth with their own mental blocks, in my opinion. And in all fairness, maybe 10 years ago, I never believed in this. I need to talk to people. I need coaches. I need mentors. And then after talking to a lot of people, and, you know, I actually did have a very good performance coach. You know, like I actually didn't hire him. We kind of crossed path 12 years ago. And honestly, I give him all the credits that I have to this day, because he really unleashed and broke down a lot of barriers that I used to have. Obviously, I constantly work with people right now. I have a performance coach as well. But I think there's a bit of a culture aspect as well. I think people culturally, whether you're from the MENA or even from, you know, Asia, we usually don't tend to talk a lot about us personally, because we see it as a sign of weakness. But I think I totally disagree with that statement, because the more you're open and the more you open up to people, I think the more ideas come in, and I think that it also unleashes a lot of these barriers. And what do you think about that statement in general, like from your experience?
I think in general, it's a lot of things. I think it starts with, yes, people kind of adopted the belief that they have to act strong all the time, and that does not serve people, to be honest with you. And they have to adopt the belief that they have to do it on their own, and if they ask for help, it's a sign of weakness, and that doesn't work. Because especially when you are an entrepreneur in the business world, you realize like you can never do it on your own, like literally. And so whether you need help from experts, from people in your mindset, for your mindset, from the environment, like people have to understand, like one hand cannot clap on its own.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for people to understand is, yes, at the beginning you want to be independent and you want to, like, you know, be on your own and, like, you know, go after your goals. That's the first step. If you stay a lot in independence, that's going to harm you. You have to move to a higher value, which is interdependence, which is how to engage with others, how to learn, to grow with others, how to contribute, how to collaborate, how to, all of that is the way to success. If you're always stuck in independence, you're missing out a lot. So that's number one. Number two, I totally believe that it's, as you said, in the culture, in the educational system. If you're launched to the world, you know, 15, 20, 25 years of your life, nobody ever addresses mental health. Nobody ever addresses how your subconscious is very important. Nobody ever addresses your health, your psychology, on your performance, on your success level. You come to the world and say, but I've never done it. Like, this is the way to go. I mean, so I totally believe that there's a lot, it's a huge gap it's a huge gap, but it's picking up, because right now, I mean, the good thing is that people are healing wellness and mental health all over the place. Although sometimes they don't really how does that relate, or exactly how to do it. But there's that aspect that people are hearing more about it. So so I believe, whether we like it or not, it's something that is definitely going to pick up, and it's something that you know you have to make a decision, because you can decide to take part of it or not. But then, are you leaving yourself out of this? Are you going to be left out? Because it's going to show. Because the people who are going to be, like, in the workplace, if someone who has that level of intelligence will do much better than someone who doesn't. It's clear. And you
Okay.
can manipulate your way around this, and you can play all the politics in the world, but at the end, the results is the person who has more intellect. And that's not about IQ. It's not about, oh, I'm more clever than that person. It's not about any of that. IQ was over like kind of like hyped.
Rated.
It's not IQ. It's your intellect, your ability of your mind and your body to work for the best way for you. So if you have more of that, you can definitely get more results.
Lara, in being a coach in this business, in this area, isn't that one of your biggest challenges, that people don't really understand the importance of having a coach, or in terms of mental health or productivity? People, tend to try to either do things themselves or just completely ignore these things.
Yes, to be honest, there's definitely a challenge with that. But this is how I see it, and this is how I tell other change makers. You're not here to serve everybody. You're not here to serve the people who are ready and who will align with you in how the way you can serve them, in the way you can transform them. So if I keep focusing on all the people that really do not appreciate mental health, or I'm gonna end up being broke. So I have to look at, who am I? What can I add value? Who is my ideal person to work with, my ideal client, who that person looks like, and align myself with those people. And at the end of the day, everybody is responsible for their own choices. You can, point a horse and put it like next to the water, but the horse has to drink the water itself, right? So what needs to happen as a coach is that if you continue to focus on that aspect, yes, there's a lot of people who don't care about mental health and potentially will never care about mental health in this lifetime. You're gonna drain your energy, and you're not gonna focus on the right things for your business, and you're not gonna focus on the people who need it, who are looking for you, because literally people are looking for you. So you need to align yourself, how to align yourself with those people that are looking for me and that I can serve and I can help. And the rest of the people will eventually ride the wave, because, like technology, right? You have early adopters, right? You have people who they follow it, and there are people who eventually they're gonna ride the wave because there's no other choice for them to do it. And that's what's gonna happen to those people who refuses to be part of this, or refuses to work on this important aspect of themselves.
Right.
I want to, yeah, I'd like to jump back to something that you had mentioned earlier as well, and just kind of tie it into something that I feel like, we've kind of broached and danced around, but so the importance of understanding yourself. So we're talking a lot about having this kind of self-awareness, or this visibility on all of the things. And I feel like what happens a lot of times is, like, even with self-help guides and books, is this presumption that people are already in a certain state of self-awareness, which allows them to tap into all of those critical elements of reviewing themselves and analyzing and understanding that there's a lot of internal and external that needs to be balanced, the whole yin yang and feng shui of yourself. But I want to kind of split the thought into two parts. One part is kind of, let's pretend we're all kids. We're all in school. We're 10 years old, 15 years old, and we experience our first bully, or we are the bully, depending on. I was bullied a lot growing up, unfortunately, um, and
A lot of people, yeah.
yeah, and it's fine. I mean, well, it's not fine actually, but the thing is that as long as it's being addressed or dealt with and it's trying to be minimized. um but so anyway, so imagine that we're very young. Like, I want to kind of tap into this thought of what is that combination of infrastructure that's needed to inculcate this idea of developing somebody at an early age to think well about themselves and the others around them. And this is a combination of school, where you spend most of your time, extracurricular activities where you're outside of the curriculum, but you're still doing stuff that's within a controlled environment away from parents, and then time with friends, which is also, again, unsupervised with parents, and then you have the time with parents and family. Um, and then the other part of it is kind of, what about those people that, and maybe it ties into this point, that never really get to realize where the problems are originating from. They externalize the reasons why things are not working out. They will blame other things, or they will get frustrated but not know why. Da 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 da. So those are two things. I think they're interrelated, but I'm not sure because I'm not the expert on this. But and and then the impact that has in somebody who was 10 years old, got bullied or was the bully, and then became the CEO of a big organization and is known to be brutal and talks about, well, if you are sick and you don't show up to work, then your job is gonna, be on the line. So I'm wondering, like, what's the link over there?
That's a big question.
I know. I'm sorry. I guess
It was really can you please repeat
my
the
only
question?
I'll try to
No.
hold that. So
We recorded.
So, all right. So let me explain a little bit things. So generally, what I said a little bit earlier about the subconscious mind is that you accumulate literally, like, potentially 90% of your belief system of your subconscious mind by the age of 7 or 8. That's why, because before the age of 7, between the ages of 2 and 6 specifically, you are more in a different brainwave. There's different brainwaves. Like, so if you meditate, you go into alpha. If you and the subconscious mind is more in the theta brainwave, which is very much close to the time when you're about to wake up or the time you're about to sleep. That's the theta brainwave in your daily life. So between 2 and 6, they're mostly in a theta brainwave. That means that their subconscious mind is open, that they're acquiring, that literally there's no analytical mind. There's no analytical mind to reject ideas. So they're just absorbing things like a sponge. So whatever happens, they absorb it. Like if someone treats you like, if someone says, "Oh, you're dumb," then you will start having, as a kid, you start having, a thought in my mind, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm not that clever, and it starts playing on you for a very long time, like playing on you for the rest of your life. So, and the thing is, so what happens is that when we are in these situations as kids, your mind is trying to protect you. Your mind is trying to protect you. So, if somebody bullies you, and so you're getting something out of this. So it shapes you in a way that you're getting something out of it. You're learning, you're trying to protect yourself. So you might come up with the belief that people are dangerous, that it's better for me not to be with other people, that, so you start protecting yourself, and that plays all over the place. So, but you're gaining positive stuff out of it. Like sometimes maybe you're strong, sometimes maybe, I know how to spend time with myself. I know how to instead of spending time with my kids, with other kids, maybe I start exploring myself and other. So it has a positive aspect and a negative aspect. Nothing happens like completely negative. You're gaining something out of it. So the idea is, as you move forward in life, so what do I do with this? Like, do I continue to live these patterns and allow myself to be in the same, like being that victim of my beliefs, victim of my circumstances, victim of my experiences, or do I take charge? And the way to take charge is to There's different ways of doing it, but the right way of doing it is when you basically able to tap into those beliefs, those stories, and transform them, because they're not supporting you anymore. You know, the strength, maybe you being a strong kid is supporting you, you being creative is supporting you, but the other aspects are not supporting you. So how to balance all of that out in order for you to be the balance, or to get a belief system that supports you and is beneficial for you, so that you know how to treat other people, that you know how to be with other people, so that you know how to be a leader and all that stuff. So as a grown-up man, let's say CEO, having all of that in their mind, the you know, the way to do it is to transform those stories, is to go to those stories and transform them and change those beliefs. And that has happened mainly on a theta brainwave, because if you try to do it consciously, that's not going to happen. If you know, if you try to do some affirmations, it takes a long time. If you tap into a theta brainwave, you can transform things like that, because you're tapping the same brainwave that created the same, you're tapping into the same brainwave when you were experiencing the same experience. So that's how it works. I'm sorry, I'm just bombarding you with the technique of it. But what I'm trying to say is, you have two options. As a grown-up person, you can decide, okay, I'm gonna live a victim of my circumstances, I'm in my past, or I'm gonna decide to shift my past and learn the good things about it and move forward without having to have this baggage. And that's doable. That can be done. You just need to do it with someone who's professional, who knows how to do it. Like you take your car to a mechanic, right? You don't fix your car by yourself. So because there's a technique behind it. So that's what my response is, that you are not a victim. You are not a victim. You have gained all of these experiences for a reason. You maybe even got positive things out of these experiences. It made you who you are today. But then as a grown-up man, how do I change my perspective about that? And how do I strip away what doesn't serve me and adopt the beliefs that serves me moving forward? It's now, right? Because right now, if you continue with the same beliefs, it's not going to support you anymore. It did maybe when you were a kid, but right now it's ruining your life. So how to be able to navigate that? As a, you know, if you want me to comment on parenthood, honestly, like, again, it's all about, you have to be unaware as a parent. You know, you know, before the child is aware, the parent has to be aware. The parent has to be aware of dynamics and behavior. Why are you feeling that way? Why are you, you know, at a moment when that child is behaving or bullying, or how are you feeling? What does that mean to you? Being aware as a parent, you'll be able to guide your children in a much better way. Most of us, we live in, you know, our parents did our best. They did their best with what they got. I mean, every generation, you feel a huge, you know, improvement.
Yeah.
But if you want to go to that next level, then you have to be an aware parent that is aware of your own emotions, your own motives, why you're doing the way you're doing, what the patterns. And that, when you have that ability, you'll be able to parent in a much conscious way and be able to deal with different experiences of your kids in a much conscious way. And that also cascades to schools. I mean, in schools, instead of just like, you know, addressing
Just
people,
being more involved. Yeah.
being involved in the emotional aspect, like, why are you feeling that way? Why do you feel the need to do that way? And kind of help them process things and transform things, because
not be ashamed of it.
they're shapeable, moldable, and they absorb things like crazy. So it's about being conscious in our education system, conscious in our parenting, and that's gonna lead to a whole new different generation if we were able to do that at one point. Yeah.
Thank you, Lara. That was really informative. And I think a lot of times what happens is that deep down and very simply, I feel like it just comes down to not being shy and not being embarrassed by it, but just accepting that human nature is, you know, we can say we're flawed, but we're just made of very complex design, and we need to accept that it's not black and white. There's so many layers and complexities that go into shaping us and making us. And I think it's about kindness, right? Like if you're kind to others, others will be kind to you. And if you recognize an unkind situation, try and make it kind. So there's this need for compassion and empathy, and it creates this positive energy and sense of belonging. So
And to be honest, compassion with yourself,
yeah,
compassion.
absolutely. It starts at
I'm
home.
not perfect. Things are the way it is. I'm improving. All I just need to do is to inch forward and accept myself who I am and keep growing.
Right.
Not just stop myself because I'm afraid of growing.
And so, well, look, thank you so much. I'm personally much richer. I think this was a very, very good session. We are a little over time now, actually, but definitely worth every second. I think that
And
this
there's
was
still
a
so
really,
much
really
that we can talk about.
yeah. I mean, we barely scratched the surface. I think we were just
Yeah.
touching on
It's a long, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a big topic. It's a big topic for sure.
we make a start, but I think the idea is that
Mental show.
Sorry.
the pivotal
Pivotal mental show. That's what it should be. Honestly, we can talk about
Well, I'm glad it you.
fuse
Yeah,
it
it
into everything.
it
So
is.
I'm just going to, so we'll just do this thing where we do this one key takeaway at the end of the session. And I'll just quickly start, I guess. And I mean, I think I've always appreciated, a lot of the balance, but I never really thought about the importance of, if you're going to be change making, you need to be in a good place to do it. And I think a lot of it comes from like having a good center. So I think for
Yeah.
me, the unison of mind and body and spirit, and this whole idea that when you've committed to yourself to do something, then you need to kind of be aware of all of these. So I think for me, the greatest takeaway was really just the perpetual need to keep checking yourself and to do this thing, so that you are good to yourself and others around you.
And for me, I think I had a couple of takeaways. Actually, I have a page for it, but I'm just going to mention the two things. It is true to, I guess, to pivot or to change, you need to be in a good state, whether physically, mentally. And I think mentally plays a big part on everything. And I learned a lot today and talked about the subconscious as well. So it's a lot of things that I worked with coaches about how to deal with it as well. And I'm genuinely serious about this fight or flight or hide. I genuinely mean that. So that's something I really will see how I can help people, especially a lot of the startup founders that reach out to me, because I feel a lot of them have that,
Yes.
a conflict in them. So that's something that we can address. And again, thank you, Katir and Laura, for coming on today. So it was very, very beneficial. And I think we could have gone for another hour, I think, but right now we have to keep it to where that is.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me also, uh, combining both Zuhair's and Abe's takeaway, I think the biggest takeaway that I can feel is that it is extremely important for a change maker to be in the right, right kind of mindset and right frame of mind. And as you rightly said, the change always has to come from the top. It's extremely important that people sitting at the top, flying at 40,000 feet, actually see what is going on at the grassroots level. Fight or flight is all good, but mostly it
That's what
turns out to be
leadership is,
negative.
right? Leadership. That's what leadership is not just
Yeah.
leading,
At the end of the day, it does
number
matter a
or
lot,
line.
but then often it becomes a negative thing because
Yeah.
people don't realize that. So, but thank you so much for coming in today, Lara. It was a great session. And like Zuhair said, we have barely scratched the surface. And I was having a lot of fun in this discussion. We could have gone for hours and hours, and we could have pissed off some people as well.
Yes, absolutely. We don't want to piss off
That's the
people.
idea. We do actually.
That's
We
not
kind
what I
of
mean.
do. We want
That's
to
not-
shake the tree and get, I think
Yeah.
people need to kind of
Yeah.
check in with reality, right?
Yes. It's
So
about being aware that there's different ways. I mean, we don't have to be stuck in one way. There are different ways, and then you get to choose what works best for you.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
So on that
All right.
note, we bid the
We'll end
audience.
at that.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you very much, Lara, for coming. Abe and Farouk, good stuff.
I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you for having me. It was really an interesting discussion. And yeah, happy to have further conversations in the future.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
Take
We'll
care.
all connect
Bye-bye.
back
Thank
together.
you.